Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. A desperate search has continued off the state's northern coastline with growing fears for a missing fisherman. The 75-year-old failed to return from a boating trip off Port Sorell yesterday. His vessel has been found, but there is no sign of him.
A fishing trip shrouded in mystery.
We just want to find him.
Kerry Frankham launched his boat at Port Sorell yesterday, but never returned home. Police swiftly launching a multi-agency search, desperate to find the Deloraine man who had not fished in the area before.
He was just planning to go out for a morning fishing trip by himself. He hadn't been out fishing for some time.
His boat was found 12 kilometres off Beachford in the early hours of this morning.
Which is a long way away. Unfortunately, there was no one with the vessel.
Police say the experienced boatie was prepared and his vessel seaworthy to withstand the conditions.
There was an EPIRB on board that wasn't activated.
There's no indication anything untoward happened out on the water.
Certainly with his experience, he would know if he was in trouble, he would have activated that EPIRB.
Crews on the water and in the air in a race against time, hoping to find answers for his worried family ashore.
They're devastated, but they are certainly hopeful. Every hour that passes, that search area increases dramatically. That's why we're throwing as many resources as we can get.
Police will continue their search over the next couple of days with plans to expand the focus area. They're also reminding others of the dangers of venturing out onto the water alone.
Going solo is quite dangerous in that environment, but if you're prepared, as it appears this gentleman was, then everything should be okay.
Not giving up hope of finding him alive. Victoria Easto, 7 Tasmania News.
A former Premier and a prominent Indigenous leader have come together, offering their support to the yes vote in the upcoming referendum. It's as many Tasmanians remain divided over the issue, with October 14 drawing closer.
One small 3-letter word proving stronger than it looks.
I've never felt connected to this land, but I think I will.
Indigenous leader Noel Pearson, Independent MP Meg Webb and the former Liberal Premier Peter Gutwin joining forces with around 100 Yes 23 volunteers, handing out flyers and campaigning, hoping to inform Hobart residents about the advantages of voting yes in the Indigenous Voice to Parliament referendum.
I have a belief that if we have respectful conversations with ordinary Australians, take them through the provision, talk about it, that we'll get the right result.
The constitutional alteration that's being requested for non-Indigenous Australians will not change their way of life one iota. But for Indigenous Australians, it may have a profound effect.
Support for the Yes 23 campaign has dropped across the country, despite a visit from the Prime Minister just last week.
Hey, how you going? Oh, we have work cut out all over the country, but Tasmania is absolutely key. Tasmania's been a party to many reforms of the past.
There are still many across the state expected to vote no, arguing it will divide the country and could cause disruptions and delays within Parliament, while others say they simply don't have adequate information about the issue.
But whatever the outcome on October 14, Tasmanians are asked to choose respect.
To take very careful respect of the questions and issues that are top of mind for people.
Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
Guy Barnett remains firmly in the crosshairs of the opposition ahead of state parliament's return. Referred to the Privileges Committee over Marinus-linked cost estimates last week, his performance in the health portfolio is now set for scrutiny.
Our pressure on the government this week will be a challenge to them to outline to the community how are they going to start to improve Tasmania's health system, because right now we're not seeing any improvements at all.
It was a result of their relentless addiction to secrecy that Minister Barnett has now ended up being referred to the Privileges Committee.
Leader of Government Business Elise Archer has labelled it political posturing and says their focus will be on progressing important legislation. Meanwhile, the Health Minister is urging more Tasmanians to make use of the urgent care clinics after a visit himself. A broken thumb and 11 stitches, the result of a collision with a wall during a squash game. A 43-year-old man is in a serious condition after being rescued from a suspicious fire at an apartment complex in Kingston. The blaze broke out around 6 last night, causing moderate damage to the unit on Redwood Road. No one else was injured. Meanwhile, firefighters spent the morning assessing damage caused by a second blaze at a home on Stirling Street in Blackmans Bay. Firefighters say a bedroom went up in flames just before 4 a.m. The occupants escaped unhurt. Tasmania's literacy levels remain some of the lowest in the country, according to a new report. The Code Red study revealing 1 in 2 people don't have basic skills. But the government's efforts to reverse the trend have been praised as a potential game changer.
We take it for granted, yet it remains an important skill. Literacy is key to our daily chores, even in the digital age.
It would make it difficult to engage with contracts or with reports with graphs. It might make it difficult to do your tax.
Your tenancy agreement isn't going to be on YouTube. Your divorce settlement's not going to be on YouTube.
A new equity economics report on behalf of Code Red, laying bare the country's literacy issues. Tasmania's figures, no easy reading.
Tasmania is really at the bottom when it comes to national and international testing on student literacy.
50% of students don't meet national PISA reading standards. 29% of Year 9 students are below NAPLAN standards, while 1 in 2 aged 15 to 74 have inadequate reading skills. The trend suggesting it'll get worse before it gets better.
Unfortunately, I think Tasmania is likely to be at the bottom when those new PISA outcomes come out.
The report, not all bad news for Tasmania. The government's 2610 program and literacy reform agenda winning praise from experts.
Potentially put Tasmania right ahead of Australia.
It looks like there's a really significant reform process underway, which is going to really significantly lift outcomes.
The Teachers' Union says change won't come without proper investment.
We can't stand by and see the levels of literacy in our society and expect things to get better without funding our education levels.
Education Minister Roger Yench says while caution should be taken with interpreting one-off test results, the government is committed to improving literacy levels by 2026. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
A Hobart venue is going up against the best in the business as it vies for the title of Australia's best hotel bar. Despite taking on some major names from Sydney and Melbourne, Mary is confident it can take first place.
What we try to be doing is to stay simple. I mean, you can see around you, Mary, it's a beautiful venue. We don't have to show too much. We don't have to do crazy things, to make the experience very entertaining.
While our state proves strong in many other categories, bars including Sunny, Rude Boy and Boodle Beasley all nominated for their food, wine and management. The winners will be announced on Wednesday night. A unique fundraiser in the state's north has proven to be a rolling success, raising $8,000 for a special cause. The state's Pinball Mafia handing over the cheque to the Launceston General Hospital's 4K Children's Ward Auxiliary. The proceeds from this year's TasPin event will help develop a courtyard at the LGH.
We wanted to put something on for families and young and old who wouldn't normally get an experience like this. And our last goal was to give back to the community.
With lots of lovely greenery and seats for the children to be able to go and sit outside and get some fresh air and sunshine while they heal.
This year's contribution doubling last year's donation.
To local footy first, and the Tasmanian Devils aren't interested in getting revenge for last year's Talent League heartbreak. The Devils will face Eastern Rangers in Bendigo on Sunday morning for a spot in the grand final. Tasmania were knocked out at the same stage last season, but the coach says that's in the past.
This year's group is extremely different to last year's, the way they play and all those types of things as well. So, yeah, we won't touch on that. We just know we've got a great opportunity this week.
Despite travelling with the team over the weekend, the coach says rising star Colby McKercher remains unlikely to play. Meanwhile, Kingborough will be watching on this weekend after booking their spot in the TSL decider. A second half blitz helped the Tigers down North Launceston and make their second grand final in a row. The coach treating the break like a bye round, looking to keep the build-up as routine as possible.
We'll train on Saturday morning. That's sort of been our little routine in terms of when we had the bye. Sunday's their sort of day. We'll let them then go at it. We'll obviously watch the game, all of us, but not so much collectively.
Despite an early injury on Saturday, the club expects star player Kieran Lovell will play in the grand final. After a trip to remember, a Jack Jumpers recruit is ready to settle down for the upcoming NBL season. Junior Badut's World Cup campaign saw him travel through Southeast Asia with South Sudan. It was followed by a visit to the country where the team was greeted by thousands of fans. Badut is now looking to make an impact for the Jack Jumpers.
I came from somewhat of like a vacation, happy moment, celebrating qualifying for the Olympics, and now we're just trying to lock in and focus on the season.
Bring energy, cut hard, dog the ball and be aggressive on it. So yeah, he's had a great experience with the national team and we're really excited to see what he can do with us.
The team will head to the Gold Coast on Friday for the NBL Blitz.
Good evening. Hobart and Devonport 13 degrees. Launceston reached 15, but Burnie topped the list with a high of 16. King Island 15, Flinders Island, Low Head, St Helens and Bushy Park all 14 degrees. Friendly Beaches and Strawn 13, Lyawini a top of 11, and spare a thought for the population of Lyawini, shivering under -7 conditions this morning. Luckily it's not a large population. High cloud did stream over Tasmania from the west, bringing late showers to the west and far south. More patchy cloud is over southern WA, coastal Victoria and the eastern parts of New South Wales and Queensland. Tomorrow a large high pressure zone continues its slow progression over eastern Australia. A trough is there over WA with a cold front to its south. Winds up to 10 to 20 knots around most of the coast tomorrow, lighter over the east and inland, swells up to 3.5 metres. 18 for Hobart and partly cloudy tomorrow, 16 the top for Adventure Bay. Maybe a shower for Tarraleah, 3 overnight and 14 the top. Launceston partly cloudy and 20, Devonport 17 along with Bridport. For Burnie tomorrow, a top of 17 degrees and partly cloudy. Showery for Strawn and 15, just 20% chance of a shower for Marrawar. And along the east coast tomorrow, 18 for St Helens, Swansea, White Mark on Flinders 16, all partly cloudy. On to Wednesday and fine and partly cloudy for all. Some maxima clicking over 20 degrees. A little warmer again on Thursday. Fine, mostly sunny weather and all clear again on Friday apart from a possible shower over the west. 24 degrees in Perth tomorrow. Sunny in Adelaide. 22 the top for Melbourne. A hazy 21 for Sydney. Fine and sunny in Brisbane. Little cloudy around the place, 11 degrees in Hobart, 10 right now in Launceston and Devonport 11 degrees. And obviously backed by popular demand, Kim Miller.
Oh, thank you for filling in, Merv.